You know what's not awesome to think about? Death. No one, absolutely no one, likes to think about life insurance, but the reality is that it's an important layer of protection for many families. Fortunately, this video is sponsored by Policy Genius and their award-winning policy options ranked #1 by Forbes. Whether you've been putting off your purchase or you just never really thought about it, Policy Genius is the team you want to check in with. This is a third-party marketplace that works for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust that their licensed experts are going to give you solid, unbiased advice. Life insurance premiums might sound like a financial drain, but you could save $1,300 or more per year by using Policy Genius to compare life insurance policies. If you're interested, head to policygenius.com to get started. In just a few minutes, you can work out how much coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle the paperwork and the scheduling for free. You could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius, and getting covered now locks in your rate over the course of a 10 or 20-year policy. Those savings really add up, and best of all, eligible applicants can get covered in as little as 1 week. So head to policygenius.com/brainfood to get started. You'll be glad you did, because when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. And now today's video. Fanta is among the world's most popular and beloved soft drinks, being sold in over 188 countries and over 150 flavors, including lime, pineapple, elderflower, peach, apricot, watermelon, blackcurrant, and the most popular by far is, of course, orange. For over 75 years, the brand has dominated the soft drink market in countries like Brazil, Argentina, Germany, Spain, Italy, and Japan, only slightly underselling the absolute juggernaut that is Coca-Cola. But in 2015, the Coca-Cola company, who owns the Fanta brand, ignited a storm of controversy when it ran a television ad in celebration of Fanta's 75th anniversary. The ad, which retells the history of Fanta using stop-motion animated bottles, concludes with the words, "To celebrate, we are bringing back the feeling of the good old times with the new Fanta Classic. Good like before, just today." The ad was met with horror, especially in Germany, for, as many critics were quick to point out, the so-called good old times of Fanta's creation just happened to coincide with the Third Reich. For many, Fanta has since become inextricably linked with the Nazi regime, along with other such brands like Volkswagen, Hugo Boss, and IBM. And for more on that, please check out our previous video, the time the Nazis teamed up with IBM for mass murder. It's a truly crazy one. But are these allegations true? Was Fanta actually invented by the Nazis? Well, as with many things, the answer is it's complicated. The story of Fanta begins with the story of Coca-Cola, invented by Atlanta pharmacist John Pemberton in 1886 as a nerve and digestive tonic. By the early 1930s, Coca-Cola had come to dominate the domestic soft drink market, the company generating some 30 million gallons of the drink syrup and $40 million in sales per year. With the brand firmly established in the United States, Coca-Cola was keen to expand internationally, and one of its early success stories was the new National Socialist regime of the German Chancellor, Adolf Hitler. Through its German subsidiary, Coca-Cola GmbH, based in the city of Essen, the company strove hard to associate itself with the Nazi regime and win over the German people. Under the leadership of American-born CEO Ray Powers, Coca-Cola GmbH advertised in Nazi party magazines, erected billboards at stadiums in Berlin and Nuremberg where party rallies were held, and sponsored the 1936 Berlin Olympics. In 1937, at the Reich Working People's Exhibition in Dusseldorf, a Coca-Cola photographer snapped a photograph of Reichsmarshal Hermann Goering enjoying the company's product. The image was widely used in the company's advertising, much like a similar picture of Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev drinking Pepsi would be used 22 years later. And for more on that, please check out our previous video. That time a Soviet general invented clear Coke, and Pepsi had one of the world's largest navies. Yes, really. Coca-Cola GmbH also engaged in some rather more suspect advertising. Following Hitler's annexation of Austria in May 1938, Ray Powers' right-hand man, German-born Max Keisch, convenes the 9th annual German Concessionaires Convention, where the Coca-Cola company displayed a giant banner bearing 3 prominent swastikas. And when Hitler annexed the Czech Sudetenland in October of that year, Keisch ran a magazine ad showing a hand holding a bottle of Coke over a map of Europe with the slogan, "Yes, we have an international reputation." These campaigns proved incredibly successful, and by 1939, Coca-Cola GmbH had 43 bottling plants and more than 600 distributors in Germany, and was selling selling more than 4.5 million cases of bottles per year. Even the Führer himself was reported to be an avid Coke drinker, though unlike Goering, no photographic evidence of this survives. But, alas, these good times were not to last. As Hitler's thirst for conquest became increasingly apparent, country after country began to publicly condemn the Nazi regime. In response, Reichsmarshal Goering launched a campaign of economic self-sufficiency, banning or discouraging the import of a wide variety of foreign goods. Goering targeted Coca-Cola in particular after discovering that bottles of Coke sold in America bore Hebrew lettering indicating that the drink was kosher. As German Coca-Cola sales began to plummet, Powers and Kite accused their parent company of being run by Jewish board member Harold Hirsch and pressured American company president Robert Woodruff to fire him. When Woodruff refused, Kite then lobbied Goering for an exception to the import ban. However, following Hitler's declaration of war against the United States on December 11, 1941, the American government imposed a full trade embargo against Germany. This not only severed communications between Coca-Cola GmbH and company headquarters in Atlanta, but cut off all supplies of vital syrup ingredients. Max Kite, who had taken over as CEO following the death of Ray Powers in 1938, contacted Robert Woodruff via neutral Switzerland and informed him that he would do everything in his power to keep the subsidiary afloat until the end of the war. No longer able to produce the company's flagship product, Kite asked his chief chemist, Dr. Wolfgang Scheiteleg, to come up with an alternative drink using only ingredients readily available in Germany. Scheiteleg blended together various industrial byproducts, including whey from cheese making, apple pressings from cider production, and whatever surplus citrus fruit could be sourced from fascist ally Italy to produce a clear, slightly bitter, yet surprisingly refreshing concoction. In an incident that has become legendary in advertising circles, when Kite asked his marketing department to come up with a name for the new drink, he encouraged them to use their imaginations, or fantasy, in German. In response, veteran salesman Joseph Knipp immediately blurted out, "Fanta," and an icon was born. Fanta was an immediate success in wartime Germany, selling nearly 3 million cases in 1943 alone and allowing Coca-Cola GmbH to continue operating at a near pre-war capacity. At first, the drink was sweetened using the artificial sweetener saccharin, but in 1941, the government allowed the use of 3.5% beet sugar. This led to Fanta being widely used by German housewives as an alternative source of highly rationed sugar for sweetening soups, stews, and desserts. Meanwhile, Max Keith fought off numerous attempts by the Nazi regime to take over and nationalize Coca-Cola GmbH, even taking a bureaucratic position in the Office of Foreign Property to keep the company out of the government's hands. All the while, Coca-Cola headquarters in Atlanta had no idea whether Kite was working for them or for the Nazis. When Germany surrendered in May 1945, they were surprised to discover that Kite had kept the company's factories and labor force intact, allowing Coca-Cola production in Germany to resume almost immediately. Kite even handed over all the subsidiaries' wartime profits to the parent company, as well as the recipe for Fanta. However, Coca-Cola saw no further need to market what they viewed as a cheap wartime expedient and immediately discontinued the brand. But by the early 1950s, Coca-Cola was facing major competition from its main rival, Pepsi-Cola, and in a bid to diversify its product line, the company resurrected the Fanta brand in 1954. This new Fanta was developed in Naples, Italy, and based on locally sourced oranges rather than apples, as in the original Nazi-era formulation. Packaged in a distinctive ring-necked bottle created by the legendary industrial designer Raymond Loewy, Orange Fanta hit the European market in 1955 and proved to be a massive hit. Sales soon expanded to Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and by the 1960s, Fanta was being bottled in 36 countries, often in unique regional flavors. And like Pepsi and Coke before it, Fanta also managed to penetrate into the communist bloc, reaching the Soviet Union in 1979 and China in 1984. But the one market Fanta seemed to fail to conquer was the United States. This was a deliberate policy on the part of Coca-Cola, who refused to market Fanta domestically for fear it would cut into strong sales of its flagship product. Fanta thus limped along in the United States until the mid-1980s, when Coca-Cola discontinued the brand domestically altogether. It was not until 2001 that Fanta was relaunched in the US, and with a concerted marketing push, the brand quickly grew from negligible sales to its current place in the top 10 most popular American soft drinks. Now, all of this brings us back to our original question. Was Fanta Fanta created by the Nazis? And the answer appears to be, well, no, not really. While the Nazis were responsible for the ingredients shortage that directly inspired the creation of Fanta, from the beginning to end, the production and distribution of the drink was an entirely private affair, conceived by Max Kite as a means of keeping Coca-Cola GmbH afloat and saving his workforce from military conscription. And though he prominently displayed Nazi symbols at company events and publicly celebrated Adolf Hitler's 50th birthday in 1939, Kite himself refused to join the Nazi Party, allow his company to be nationalized, or even pocket his factory's profits for himself, despite immense government pressure to do so. In 1945, a government official even threatened Kite with charges of treason if he did not hand over the company, but the official was killed in an air raid before any charges could be laid. For this reason, while Coca-Cola quickly pulled its controversial 2015 ad, a spokesperson was quick to assure consumers the 75-year-old brand had no association with Hitler or the Nazi Party. We wanted to remind our consumers of their childhoods. For example, the design we used of the classic annulated bottles comes from the 1960s. This is not to say, however, that Max Kite and Coca-Cola GmbH did not engage in unethical practices during the war. Throughout the conflict, some 9 million Zwangsarbeiter, or forced foreign laborers captured from conquered territories, were used by the Nazi regime in a wide variety of industries, accounting for nearly a fifth of the German labor force by 1944. Though records are spotty, according to Mark Pendergast, author of For God, Country and Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola GmbH was almost certainly among these companies. Quote, later in the war, Kite used Chinese labor and people who would come from anywhere in Europe. The war brought them from everywhere. Confronted with such accusations over the years, the Coca-Cola company has paid millions of dollars into a compensation fund for those forced to work in German industry during the war. Then there is the matter of Robert Woodruff and the Coca-Cola company continuing to do business with Nazi Germany right up until the 1941 embargo, when the war in Europe had already been raging for 2 years. As Pendergast points out, this phenomenon was far from unique to Coca-Cola. Some industrialists like Henry Ford were in fact Nazi sympathizers, while others, such as Walter Teagle of Standard Oil, avoided taking sides but saw nothing wrong with doing business with the Nazis. Like his friend and hunting companion Teagle, Woodruff practiced expediency. So, in conclusion, go ahead and enjoy your Fanta with a clear conscience, but always remember, history is complicated, and that such was the evil of the Nazi regime that not even the best of intentions could prevent it from tainting every single thing that it touched. So I really hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.